Dalai Lama's talking about great. It's good to know. We're now being recorded. I better say something correct then. Yeah. In the highest yoga tantra system of the new translation schools, the fundamental mind, which serves as the basis of all the phenomena of cyclic existence in nirvana, is posited as the ultimate truth or nature of phenomena, dharmata, chuni. It's also sometimes called clear light, ursal, or uncompounded. In Nyingma, it is called the mind vajra. This is not the mind that is contrasted with basic knowledge into the division of rigpa or mind sem, but the knowledge of mere luminosity and knowing, basic knowledge itself. This is the final root of all minds, forever indestructible, immutable, and of unbreakable continuum, like the Vajra or diamond. Just as the new translation schools posit a beginless and endless fundamental mind, so Nyingma posits a mind Vajra which has no beginning or end and proceeds without interruption through the effect stage of Buddhahood. It is considered permanent in the sense of abiding forever, and is thus presented as a permanent mind. It is permanent not in the sense of not disintegrating moment by moment, but in the sense that its continuum is not interrupted. This being analogous to the statement in Maitreya's Ornament for Clear Realization, Abhisamaya Lankara, that a Buddha's exalted activities are considered permanent and that they are inexhaustible. It is also non-produced in the sense that it is not adventitiously and newly produced by causes and conditions, since the continuum has always existed. And I'm skipping a paragraph here in case you're reading. In Nyingma, the mind vajra is posited as the ultimate truth. This ultimate truth is not posited from the viewpoint of being an object found by a consciousness distinguishing emptiness, as in the Middle Way school. Rather, it is the fundamental mind of clear light, which has no beginning and no end, the basis of all the phenomena of psychic existence and nirvana. It is the nature of being the truth body of the effect stage of Buddhahood. Beyond all adventitious phenomena is called the ultimate truth. So when we're in this way, he's contrasting the consciousness kind of sutra level consciousness of the Middle Way school with the mind vajra consciousness, which is different. The Great Perfection presents a practice of viewing all phenomena of cyclic existence and nirvana as the sport and self-effulgence of the mind, within sustaining awareness of the basic energy of the mind. Even though there is little explanation of the elimination of the object of negation, inherent existence, and the realization of phenomena as nominally designated, such is understood as a byproduct right along with the understanding that all of the phenomena are just the manifestations or sport of this basic mind of clear light. Therefore, all the important points of the views of emptiness as found in the New Translation School's presentation of the Middle Way School are contained within this practice. So this is quite interesting. So Dalai Lama is saying in the Dzogchen tradition, if we're practicing properly, the Madhyamaka school is implied and contained within it. Probably some people would disagree. What do you think? We'd have a debate. In the Middle Way Consequence School, the Madhyamaka Prasangika School, this realization is described in terms of understanding that phenomena exist only through the force of nominal conventions and not inherently. So for those that are reading tenets, of course, if we're looking at the tenets from Prasangika and Madhyamaka school, this is it, you know, things exist, you know, only through nominal conventions and not inherently. According to Gelugpa and other interpretations, during meditation, only the absence of inherent existence is taken as the object of one's mode of apprehension. Not anything else, just the mere negative of inherent existence, which is the object of negation. The practitioner seeks to remain in meditation without losing that object. Some people, I no doubt, have tried already. It's quite something to stay just meditating on the absence of inherent existence with reifying the absence, right?
Could you read that again?
The whole thing?
No. just those last few sentences.
In the middle way consequence school, for Sankhya Madhyamaka, this realization is described in terms of understanding that phenomena exist only through the force of nominal conventions and not inherently. According to Gelugpa and other interpretations, during meditation, only the absence of inherent existence is taken as the object of one's mode of apprehension. Not anything else, just the mere negative of inherent existence, which is the object of negation. The practitioner seeks to remain in meditation without losing that object. A consciousness ascertaining this meaning must have the aspect of realizing a non-affirming negative, a negation which does not imply anything positive in its place. It is a fundamental tenet of the middle way system that emptiness is a non-affirming negative. That's easy, right? It's not so easy, actually. Yeah. Bhava Viveka, for instance, explains this point very clearly in his commentary on the first stanza of the first chapter of Nagarjuna's treatise on the middle way, where Nagarjuna says that things that are not produced from self, other, both, or causelessly at all. Buddha Palita and Chandrakirti all say the same. So for people that are doing reading from the very beginning, Tsongkhapa, you know that his understanding of emptiness, he's tried to be in accord with Nagarjuna, but particularly as seen through Chandrakirti and Buddha Palita. Next paragraph, and then I'll stop reading. Maybe it's boring listening to reading, but we should read the Dalai Lama's, even these texts, like kind of like it should be a tree, right? An oral explanation, and there should be actually probably even like a lung. Lung is the like a reading transmission, oral transmission. In the Great Perfection, however, one meditates on the basic mind of clear light, one pointedly observing the factor of mere luminosity and knowing. Thus, this meditative mind does not have the aspect of realizing a mere non-affirming negative. Still, prior to this stage, when being introduced to the basic mind in the practice called breakthrough, the practitioner of the Great Perfection analyzes from where the mind arises, where it abides, and where it goes. In the course of this practice, as in the text of the Middle Way School, is ascertained that the mind is devoid of the extremes of conceptual elaboration. This is the realization of its absence of inherent existence. Later, in meditating on the basic mind or clear light, which is free from arising, abiding, and going away, the practitioner is meditating on an affirming negative, in which the basic mind appears, but is understood as empty of inherent existence. In the Nyingma breakthrough system, emptiness is mainly explained in relationship to the mind, whereas in the Middle Way system is mainly in respect to the person, with a division of all phenomena into persons or users' objects and whose objects are used. The practice of emptiness in the breakthrough system is associated with the mind because of the great emphasis in Nyingma on the mind itself, cognition, the basic mind. Aryadeva, in his Lamp Compendium for Practice, a commentary on the 5 stages of Guru Samaja Tantra, which is the highest yoga tantra in the new translation schools, and especially Gelugpa, says in discussing the third of the 5 stages, called mental isolations, that if you do not know the nature of mind, you cannot be released. In Nyingma, there is no clear and detailed explanation of whether this combination of mind and emptiness is an affirming negative or a non-affirming negative. However, a few Nyingma scholars have said it is the former. Due to this, some people say that there's no way those who assert that the view is a non-affirming negative could agree with those who assert that the view is an affirming negative. However, the issue is more complex than that. So hopefully this will leave you hanging. And you will want to find this article. Maybe there's a way we could make it available for others that don't have the book. Because if some of you know, there is sometimes a big discussion, like how can people, some people say it's a non-affirming negative, and how can some people say it's affirming something? How can we have these different views of a mind realizing emptiness? So in Dalai Lama's presentation, he attempts to resolve this. It's quite interesting. So it's like he has a debate in the middle of the article, I would say. So let me stop here and see if anybody would like to make a comment or a question before I confuse things even more. I guess I explained everything in perfect clarity.
Actually, for taking practice, you sort of keep coming back to things with a more subtle mind or a different understanding. Then how do we know when we actually understand something, or when we've actually had a realization of something in this context? You were talking about first that there's different subtleties to our consciousness or our mind that realizes things.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then at what point does that inquiry end? Or does it? That's the point.
All the inquiries end when we come to certainty. So we have to inquire till there's a place of no more learning or certainty. So of course many people are quite certain about things that are false. So we are willing to have our insight or realizations subject to scrutiny. That's one reason why hopefully in the Sangha we can do a little bit of kind of debate, maybe not the formal, super formal kind at advanced monasteries, but some kind of debate where we're able to talk about our practice or realizations and what affirmations based on that, and then we're able to defend this properly. To do that, we need a high level of trust and study, right? because we can't, we're not allowed to do it California style. California style is, I joke because I'm from New York, is kind of new age, and like if I feel it, it's real. So in our tradition, and when I say our tradition, all the Vajrayana traditions depend upon feedback from others and the ability to successfully demonstrate our realization and have it challenged. So we have to share our realizations, of course, with our lamas, and then as we become more adept, then we would share and have it in front of others too. Like that. It's kind of scary, or it's kind of fun actually. They have this in the Zen school too, like they have, kind of open Dharma combat, they call it. It's more dramatic in Zen, and they're calling it debate, kind of samurai style of Dharma combat, where in Japan, or maybe even in the West, it tends to be kind of formalized, because and tends to take place when people are advancing, towards certain priest ranks or certain Dharma ranks in Zen. So a lot of times, in some cases, teachers will, very traditional, is that they just kind of give you the answer so you know what you're supposed to say in response. But I studied with teachers who wanted it to be more realistic and spontaneous, so you wouldn't get any rehearsal. More like real life, yeah. So the study isn't to make us so smart like we are just come encyclopedia, but it lets us know exactly from what point of view we're doing the practice, and what point of view we can defend or reject. So it could be fine that somebody could say, I'm just practicing, hey guys, I'm just practicing from Sarvastivadin point of view, okay? So, I'm talking about my experience and my insights and realizations, from that point of view. So, be aware of that, that's so. Please, if you ask me questions about my practice, then understand that I'm working from that point of view, right? And then we can help somebody. But if somebody just says, I'm practicing from Sarvastivadin point of view, kind of almost a realist point of view, right? A little bit kind of Dharma realism, so to speak. And somebody says, oh, that's, we read in the Heart Sutra, oh, it's just, all those are empty, can't you see that? Then sometimes that might lead to a certain kind of great realization, like, Shariputra, but most of the time it leaves someone baffled. So also, if we want to help someone, we want to know what their tenet system is, what premises are you speaking from, and actually, are you following your own premises? And if you're not, then that's interesting, right? Not consistent with your own premises. We're not even trying to show that your premises are right or wrong, but like that. So maybe this is kind of advanced talk. So people that aren't doing the reading may have a difficulty. Sorry. Anybody else want to say something?
As you know, and probably everybody on the call knows, I'm not doing the readings, but it seems to me that at least from what you last, it really does have practical application just in ordinary life, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, you need to know where people are coming from, as they say.
One of the phrases I think from Lojong is, all Dharma teachings are practical. Yeah. If they're not practical, who needs them, right? You know, so that's why we have to, like, why we take some of these very exalted sounding words and we have to bring them back to our personal practice. But what's not useful sometimes is, of course, when we're having discussions with people and we don't know the terms of the discussion and we don't know from what point of view people are discussing things. So it really does help even in communication between, just kind of regular people, like, knowing what position people are, what style of discussion and assumptions are making. So just to summarize a little bit how Dalai Lama goes on, makes a very basic, important distinction between practice in the new translation schools, such as Gurya Samaja, and the great perfection teachings, which, by the way, aren't just in and Nyingma schools. They're new perfection teachings actually in all the schools. But and Tantra's like, Gurya Samaja, like you have to really bring all the outer senses to full stop. So there's really a sense of isolation, like the term sometimes used. So you have to like strip off everything to see clear light, so to speak. But and as Dalai Lama points out in Dzogchen style, we're not trying to eliminate or strip anything away, but rather abiding in the nature mind, we see all phenomena as display. So once again, in a really incredible way, Dalai Lama doesn't try to, say, doesn't take a bias. He's just pointing out that these different systems serve different functions, and he still tries to point that they're essentially coming to the same point. But you'll have to read the article. It's in maybe Holding Up, a very famous book, Kindness, Clarity, and Insight. And first published in 1984, like that. Any further questions before we close tonight? So even though we perhaps are not doing, tantric practice, highest yoga tantra at this point, or Mahamudra and Dzogchen practice, perhaps, we still have to take a look at the mountain and know where the summit is, right? We have to tell children that they'll grow up and be happy and they'll be doing this and be doing that, right? So we don't have to think, oh, I'm not doing that practice right now, or I have no idea what Lama's talking about. It's part of the training that we kind of talk about things that are further down the line, but of course doable with practice. question that is difficult sometimes. People have different ideas about. So what practice should we concentrate on? There's slightly different emphasis, right? So slightly different emphasis in new school tantras like Gaudiya Samaja with how the has the illusory body, for example. And then if we say we're doing, or we like Kala Chakra, which has doesn't have that, has empty form, or should we be doing just say I'm just identifying I'm just doing Dzogchen or Mahamudra, do we have to make a choice? Do we have time to do all three? Or somehow are all three somewhat related? That would be an interesting question, right? So Dalai Lama courses talked about this, and also famous practitioner scholar Ju Mipam has also addressed these issues, as of our friend Shabkar, correct? So as we progress in the Buddha Dharma Study Program, we can go into more how things get at kind of the same point, maybe from different viewpoints, but we can't say right now from realization, like we can't say all teachings are one, because we haven't made it to the summit yet, and it's not fair to take a helicopter to the summit. You've got to walk it. Like that. There are some incredible teachers that have mastered teachings and can talk about all these different systems. What? Yes. Question.
I have a question. This
All right. Yes. Hi.
So, are you saying that depending on each of us individually, as we study these tenets and these different systems and ways to get to the clear light mind, that we'll figure out which one makes the most sense for each of us on the way, that we won't know ahead of time, that we're going to figure it out on the mountain as we're going?
I think that's really a good question, and I think that's true. Right. So I think we have to be familiar with different presentations, a little different tenet systems, but we don't really, I don't think we totally really know. That's part of the leap, right? Even though we were kids, for example, and even though we see other people's children, and we have always opinions about how others should raise their children, right? And we could read tons of books. It's not until we have our own children that we really have some, like, oh my gosh, what do I do now, right? Do you know that experience? I do.
Well, yes. But am I going to like stumble on it or something? That's what I keep feeling like, that when you talked about the difference between the Gaudiya Samaja system and the Kala Chakra system, and doing these different practices and stuff, and I'm like, I didn't even get that that there were different ways to end up with the clear light mind, depending on which tantra practice you're doing. And I'm kind of scratching my head. So.
Yeah, but these are totally the right questions. So it's interesting. We both form and are formed by the practice. So it's very much interdependent. So we can't quite say that we just study one system and then we totally actualize that system as it's presented. So it is a combination of these interesting, the structure and the experience.
Okay.
This is a
That
great
helps.
question. We'll talk some more. Yeah, fantastic question.
Thank you. That helps.
Comment. Yeah, oh, good. That's good. Yeah. So maybe we. Was there one more question or comment? And maybe we can close with prayers. Yeah, please do the prayers. They're very coming across very clear. So you have Umze Karma, I think. Are you ready? Maybe she can't hear me. Yeah.
Susan?
I think Susan left.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm not
There?
seeing.
She's there.
She is?
Someone?
Susan, you're on mute.
I'm not seeing her in the participant.
Sorry about that. Sorry. Okay, let me put him back up again.
Okay.
Okay, are we good?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, can you see the prayers?
Yes.
Okay. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Shenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish, and may the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all migrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losang, magical display of the deep awareness of all the victorious ones, merciful giver of a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate migrators, please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of objectless compassion, Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Maras, Sankapa, crown jewel of the snowy land sages, Losangdrapa, I make requests at your holy feet.
thank you, everybody. I hope you breathe well, and may the fires abate, and may all beings be liberated. See you all soon. Omaham.
Thank you, Lama.